because I'm just that kind of gal. So as I say, we started Bella actually in the high Andes Mountains of Peru, and my mom and I in 2010 had been doing obstetrics and gynecology there, and caring for the women there, and we were overwhelmed by just the poverty and the brokenness that was in Peru. And while we were standing there on the high rooftop of this mission site, overlooking the city and overlooking this broken town, we were overwhelmed with, wow, there is brokenness everywhere. You don't have to travel to Peru to meet brokenness. It's everywhere. It's at home. It's in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, or Arvada, Colorado, just as much as it is there. Maybe it looks a little bit different, but it's broken, and there is a need to restore dignity. And so, standing on the rooftop of that Peru mission site, we felt the Lord just saying, "Take this home." And so, Bella Natural Women's Care and now Family Wellness came out of that. And so, as a nurse practitioner, myself and my mom, who's also a nurse practitioner, we just circled around and found those professional people all around us that we knew, and said, let's do this, let's make this happen. So we found financial people, we found real estate people, we found business people, because we're nurse practitioners, we don't know business. And so we got surrounded with smart people like yourselves, and we started a very unique practice. And it is a unique practice. It is one of the only practices of its kind that is a 501c3 under the Catholic Church. And so we are a nonprofit medical practice because we want to do healthcare the way it's supposed to be done. It's not about money, it's about taking care of people and taking care of them well. And so we circled with Archbishop and we said, how do we do this and do this the way the church wants it to be? And so we became a Catholic practice as a 501c3 under the church. If it wasn't for the church, we would not exist, which is super important when we're talking about obstetrics and gynecology care. That is in line with our church, and making sure that we can provide care in a way that is in line with the church. And so that's what we have set out to do. Now, I recognize that I'm super passionate about what I do and about the medical care that I provide and the women that I see and what my day-to-day life looks like. But I also recognize you're not healthcare people, all of you. Who is healthcare people? All right, so we have some. So maybe you're like, all right, yeah, keep talking about that. We could talk about like speculums. We could talk about like IV catheters. Should we keep going with this, or do you want me to change subjects? All right, so I'm going to change subjects. So I want you to think back, actually, to your childhood and think about your favorite show. What was your favorite show as a kid? I'm kind of old, so I feel like some of you might have hipper, cooler shows than I did. What do you got?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I remember that. Got that one. Yeah.
Hey Arnold.
All right. Yeah. What else we got? Blue's Clues. All right, you guys are really aging me with Blue's Clues. My children watch that. All right, I like Tom and Jerry. How about He-Man? Were there any He-Man fans out there? All right. I knew I liked you. We got to bring you, that's why. How about
Thundercats.
Thundercats? All right. Yep, you're in my age range too. Yep. What about, what's that? Yes, you're on the, keep going with that one. Power Rangers, He-Man, Wonder Woman. How about Captain Planet?
Oh yeah.
Yes, do people know that? All right, who can sing it with me?
Captain Planet, he's a hero. Gotta take pollution down to zero.
Yes, all right, let's sing it. Okay, go down. We're going to do yeah, go Planet. All right, sing it with me. Come on.
Okay. He's a hero.
Gonna
Take pollution down to zero.
Are you wind? Are you water? What are you?
If I had to pick an element, I would probably pick wind because it's most versatile. You could fly.
All right. Do you guys know this? Come on. No Captain Planet lovers out there. What?
Unless they watched Cartoon Network in the early 90s, they're probably not going to get it.
All right. I know I'm old. But I'm trying to become, anyway. Okay. I loved Captain Planet. Loved it. It was like yes, wind, water, earth, heart. Yeah, we're gonna save the world by our pollution wrapping skills or something. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, but why am I talking about this in a professional setting? Oh my gosh, we came to a professional meeting and she's talking about Captain Planet. Yes, I am. Because when I was a child, like the shows that were important and the shows that were hip and cool, and I know I'm saying hip and cool, don't make fun of me. Those shows that were the shows were the ones that were about the heroes, right? They were giving a sense of purpose. We were going to take pollution. We were going to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Were they like getting the bad guys?
No, they were four ninja turtles
Okay.
that fought a group of evil ninjas led by the Shredder.
Right. Okay.
And
All
an
right,
alien brain named
nonetheless.
Craig.
Nonetheless, right? They were trying to save the planet from something bad, right? What are we all doing here? We are all going to work in our various professions. What do we have? We got healthcare. What else do we have? IT,
Finance.
real estate, finance. What else? All right.
Forestry.
Focus, yeah, ministries, right? We are all in our various professions trying to save the world from pollution of some kind, right? Right? By high school, I got to see 3 more babies be born, and I was set. I'm like, that is what I'm doing. And there was one moment when I saw a baby be born where I stood there and I watched this happen, and it was, you know, one of the second or third deliveries that I had seen, and I was overwhelmed, not by, yes, I was overwhelmed by the delivery process itself, because that's so super cool. You've got this woman delivering a baby, but you know what I was overwhelmed with? I was overwhelmed with the doctor who was taking this baby and held this baby on the outside, and she received this baby while God held the baby on the other side. How cool is that, right? That we get to hold a baby on one side, and God gets to hold the baby on the other side, and together this happens. Do you want to know why I'm in healthcare? Because I saw that beautiful miracle. But not only did I see that beautiful miracle, I saw the people around that woman, how they held her hands, how they held her and encouraged her, how they supported one another, how they worked together. Don't you all want to be a labor nurse now? All right, we won't have to talk about the details of that. But the fact is it's cool. And all of us picked our profession because there was something that drew us in, right? Please tell me that you did not pick finance because you just thought it was like, oh, well, I might as well do that, right? Something drew you to that profession, just like something drew me to nursing and to healthcare. But sometimes we get a little bogged down by that, right? How many of us have had that moment in our profession where we're like, what am I doing here? Really? Yeah, right? I'm sure that Cindy, my friend back here, had that moment when we cleaned up poop in the bathroom at Bella from the homeless person that just happened to roll in. She's like, I'm pretty sure I'm into healthcare, not like this. You know, like we've all had those moments of like, I'm cleaning up poop. Right? Right? And that may be you right now. Are you sitting in your profession thinking, I'm cleaning up poop? Some way, shape, or form, right? There are those moments that we find ourselves cleaning up poop. But then there's those moments when we're like, all right, that's okay. I'm cleaning up poop because I'm going to serve. I want to serve. I want to get my ring on. If you know Captain Planet, they have rings, right? And yes, those poopy kind of moments, you might realize that ring is just a piece of plastic that Nothing is shooting out of. Captain Planet's not arriving, okay? You guys don't know Captain Planet. Okay, so that's okay with me. But there are those moments when we're like, all right, that's okay. I'm cleaning up poop, I'm doing what I need to do, because that's what I'm called to do, and I'm doing it because I want to serve. When if we kind of fast forward and rewind all at once, I first got out of school and I served with Sinnett Ministries, which is the national evangelization team. We traveled around the country and put on retreats for people. And when I came back, I'm like, yes, I've been in ministry, I've been serving good, I'm excited about just moving into this new phase of my life. And so I went from that into working in the hospital environment. And I was a secretary, and I was a tech, and I was going to school, and I really did work my way through from being a secretary to being a tech to being a labor nurse, and then going to grad school and being a nurse practitioner and starting Bella. But in those early days, it was just kind of doing what I needed to do to make it happen. And all of us have had those times where we're like, I'm just doing what I need to do. I'm just showing up, cleaning up poop if that's what it is, or wheeling patients for me as it was, or stocking rooms, just doing what I had to do to get through. And I remember coming out of that and going into that and being like, okay, that's okay. I'm just doing what I need to do to get by. And someday, I'm going to be where I want to be. And that was okay. And I was serving, and I was doing it with my whole heart and my whole soul, and I was serving good. Have you guys had that moment where you're like, it's okay. It's a time. It's a season. Right? We've had those. I feel like in my life right now, I'm kind of in this season, that's the theme of my world right now. It's like season. And just like in a good story or in a good book or a good series like Captain Planet, there are seasons, right? There's the early seasons where the characters are starting to build, and they're starting to get ready, and they're starting to make their way. And then as the seasons progress, the plot develops. And then as the seasons progress, it really gets intense. And I think in our lives, it's really easy to think, well, I'm going to just get to the next episode. I'm going to get to the next episode. Okay, I'm going to get to the next season. And sometimes we miss that. I remember in our life, Justin and I, we've been married for 16 years, and we have 4 daughters. And we actually got married when we were very young. I was 20. It's my 20th birthday when we got married. And we were just like, we're young. We know we want to be together. We know that we're meant to be together, so we're just going to tackle it. And what that meant, don't laugh like that. That's inappropriate. What that meant for us was that we really just had to kind of do everything. We had to go to school, we had to figure out jobs, we had to figure out housing, we had to figure out all that kind of stuff. And that just meant just getting it all kind of rolling and figure out those things. But I remember in that time when we're going to school and I've got Mary Pat back there, and she was one of my nursing instructors, and I will never forget the day in nursing school when they said, don't get pregnant and don't get married. I got pregnant 5 days later. And so then I have to go to Mary Pat, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pregnant now. And so I'm going through nursing school, and I'm trying to do nursing school, and I'm trying to be a mom, and I'm trying to be a wife, and there's just so much there, right? And we got into that stage in our life where we're just trying to do one thing to the next, and it's if I can just get through this, it's going to be okay. If I can just get through this, it'll be okay. And if I can just make it to that, it's going to be okay. Then at one point, it's well, gosh, I remember Justin and I a few years ago, we can't keep wishing our life away like the seasons. We can't keep doing one big thing to the next big thing. We have to embrace where we're at right now. And so for us in that moment, it was still nursing and some of that kind of stuff. But for us, it was we got to embrace these moments. We got to embrace this season, these episodes, because they're going to be gone before we know it. And so when I'm thinking about, Cindy and Jeremy and y'all bringing me to talk at Young Catholic Professionals, and they're saying, come talk about being professional and these sort of things. I'm like, okay, well, I can talk about that a little bit, but what I can talk to you about is taking those moments, taking those moments where it stinks and you're like, gosh, I is what I'm meant to be doing. Or maybe it's those moments of, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to serve it, I'm going to do it the best I can. Or maybe it is like where I'm at now, where I've got to practice, and I finally got there. I'm finally caring for the patients that I want to be caring for. And I'm finally doing it the way I'm meant to be doing it. I'm doing it in a dignified manner. But yet still we're working, right? We're all in the same boat trying to do the best we can, and it goes back to Captain Planet, right? Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it?
To glorify God.
To glorify God, yeah. Right? To glorify God. Yes, to get rid of pollution too.
Spiritual pollution.
Spiritual pollution, yeah. St. Mother Teresa is one of my favorite saints, and she really, she was so great about service, right? She's so beautiful in service. And one of her quotes that I just love is really to just remember that love doesn't have to be extraordinary to be genuine. Right? And when we think of Captain Planet, we think of He-Man, we think of Power Rangers and all those different things and those stories that we hear and those stories that we see, we think of extravagance. But cleaning up the poop is okay. Running the numbers is okay. But how are we doing them? And so at the end of the day, when I'm thinking of what I want to offer you and what I want to say, and how I would love to see things roll from here, is how can we do things with great extravagance? How can we do things with not with great extravagance, but with great love? So what does that look like in your life? Give me like just a second and just think of your moments. Think of your days. I know we have an optometrist. I know we've got some people in real estate. I know we've got some EMS people. What do those moments in your day look like? Where you can stop and find that little piece of love, that little piece of service, that little piece of wind. Like what does that look like for you? Tell me. Think of a moment.
Are we talking strictly within the context of our current professions?
Sure. Or your life.
Taking on an escalated loan application from a manager whenever they request it, to just be reliable in all things.
Bringing your coworker's coffee off the Keurig when they forgot it.
That's so nice of you. I love that. Or when they put it in the microwave and they push start,
And they walk away.
and then they walk away. Totally that person.
Listening to people's problems, just listening.
Yeah.
I think in all professions, just being intentful with like the smallest things you do.
Finding a solution when it looks like there aren't any.
This past week, my husband and I did the 9/11 stair climb. And he had done a couple of other stair climbs, like around town. But this particular stair climb was the one at Red Rocks. And it was like families and friends and dogs and, everybody else. And it was a really unique moment. It's cool to see firefighters in their profession, right? And I think all of us think of them as like our heroes. And even in healthcare, like I could be delivering a baby, but there's nothing quite like that. And we're doing the stair climb, and I'm watching these firefighters going up and down the stairs and doing this over and over. We're doing like a bazillion stair climbs for remembrance of 9/11, right? And as I'm watching them, and they're in their full gear, and they're carrying their packs, and they're, just like exuberating heroes in this I don't even know if that's a word, but they're really being heroes in this. And we're walking up the stairs, and I'm seeing, and they're pouring sweat, and they're in their gear, and they're in their packs, and they're walking up the stairs, and it's just very overwhelming to me to see that hero nature in them and doing their profession. And this stair climb was a little bit different because it was with all the families, and the ones that Justin had done in the past were stair climbs that just the firefighters did. And it was cool for me as kind of a watching person. But there was one moment when we're climbing, and it's like 90 degrees in September. This is ridiculous. But they're sweating, and they're like pouring off their sweat, and they've got their gear on, and they got their hats on, and they got their packs on, and we're seeing like guys puking over here and sweating over here, and but they're just doing it. And I'm like, gosh dang, like those are heroes. That's the kind of job I want. And I'm like, it was like, no, I don't. I hate to be hot. but like I'm looking at them, and I'm like, gosh, they are heroes. And then there was a moment, and we're walking up the stairs, and Justin's like, gosh, he's carrying our 2-year-old on his back instead of his pack. I'm like, well, yeah, that's like 30 pounds too, so that's, same thing. But there was a moment when he was just like super hot, and it was super heavy, and I was like, you know what, let me take her. And he's like, no, we're good. And so we do it a little bit more. I'm like, let me take her. And so he gives me Frankie, and I do a couple of the laps with her, and he's going up the stairs. And it was a moment when we're walking up the stairs, and he's standing in front of me, and he's got his like gear on still, and at the bottom of his coat it says Sinnett, so it says our last name on it. And I've got Frankie now in the back, and now I'm sweating and like, like trying to get up the stairs, but being so like with it, like keeping it together, but like dying up the stairs. And I'm holding on to his coat, and it was just a very profound moment of him walking up these stairs, and me holding our daughter on the back, and holding on to his tail, going up the stairs, and thinking, gosh, like that is like the body of Christ, right? And that's our family, but that's the body of Christ, where we're doing our professions, we're helping one another out, we're serving one another. We are the heroes in those moments, or we're just like tagging along and getting up the stairs. And whether that's those heroes and those EMS people in that profession that is, whether it's healthcare, whether it's real estate, whether it's janitorial services, whatever it is, we are all in it together, climbing up the stairs, holding on to the tails, doing the best we can. Sometimes we're holding on to each other, sometimes we're carrying one another, sometimes we're just encouraging one another, but it's in those moments, in the professions of our lives, in the moments of our lives, that we're glorifying the Lord, keeping going up, walking up the stairs. Because in the end of all this, what is this for? What are our professions for? To glorify God, right? To change a culture. Maybe we're not saving the pollution, but we're changing a culture. And through the Lord, we're getting people to heaven and changing the world, right? So as I leave you tonight, that's my question to you. Is what are you doing? What are you doing in your world, in your moments, to keep climbing the stairs? To be